We're going to look at creating PDF files from some of the Creative Suite products, including InDesign, Photoshop, and Illustrator. And after this movie, you'll be familiar with at least the best practices for creating PDF files from within these applications. If you don't have InDesign or other Creative Suite products, you don't have to follow the video, obviously. But if you do, go ahead and open up InDesign and open Gruen News InDesign. This is a simple InDesign file, bunch of pages. When you create PDFs out of the Creative Suite, the great thing about it is the engine to create the PDF is built into each separate application, which means you don't have to own Acrobat. So for us to create a PDF in InDesign, choosing File, there's two ways to make a PDF out of a lot of different programs, especially Adobe applications. In InDesign, you can file export as a PDF. You can also print to a PDF and choose the Adobe PDF print driver. Now, the export function for myself works 95% of the time for whatever I need, to print, to email, whatever I need to do. Every once in a while, I need to have some more settings, some different things happen, so I will use the print to Adobe PDF. But 95% of the time, we're export. Now, in InDesign, you have Adobe PDF presets. These are presets that come with the program, and you just pick them and tell the InDesign how to actually make the PDF. So choose Export. Once the file is saved, it's going to ask you where you want to put this. You might just set it out on the desktop. Make sure it says Save as Type. I always do that in all these applications because InDesign has context settings here. Click Save. And whenever you go to save a PDF out of an Adobe application, typically it's going to give you a dialog, Export Adobe PDF. Now, if you look at this dialog box, there's a lot you can get caught up in. But great thing about Adobe is that they've come up with presets which pretty much match what you need to do with the PDF file. We have high quality print, press quality, smallest file size. PDFX is a standard of PDF, which is a blind exchange format, usually for magazine articles, press printing, etc. We're not going to go there. We have high quality print, which is for printing on your desktop printer, let's say. Press quality to send this file off to someone to actually print, bind, perhaps at a press. Smallest file size is usually email and print. So choose press quality. What happens is it typically sets all of the settings for you based on these standards. Now, one of the things about InDesign is we can pick a range just like other programs. It's going to set up a lot of different things. And the great thing about exporting or saving, however you do it out of an Adobe application, a lot of times it gives you extra features. In InDesign, you get the ability to save bookmarks, any links you've put in there, any multimedia. There's a lot of things we can do to add to the PDF. Like I said earlier, about 95% of the time, I don't have to go in and do any kind of changing to the settings, but looking on the left side, if you click compression, you'll see how it's compressing the images. You can tell it to go higher or lower with your resolution. You can tell it to increase the quality of your images, and you've got three kinds for color, black and white, and monochrome. Marks and bleeds allow you to set up printer's marks if you need to do registration marks or things like that. If you decide to put a bleed in the PDF, you can tell it to use what the document says, clicking Use Document, if there is one. The output category allows you to deal with color management. If you're new to color management, if you've never heard the term, or if you don't use it too often, I wouldn't go messing around in here simply because it can be detrimental to your color. Let's just say that. Click on the Advanced tab. You'll see that it's going to put your fonts in there because that's part of a PDF. And the great thing about working with a PDF from InDesign, Illustrator, Photoshop is transparency. We have all sorts of drop shadows and different things we can do. When you make the PDF, it'll either flatten it or it won't. Clicking on the General tab, you'll see the compatibility level up top. If you click on the compatibility, everything from Acrobat 5 and later will not flatten the transparency. Acrobat 4 and earlier will flatten the transparency. So if I go to a printer and I'm not sure what they're going to do when they print it, meaning, they may not have the right settings, etc., sometimes I will choose to flatten the transparency by choosing Acrobat 4. That means that nothing is native. The transparency is basically gone. It just flattens it out. So, that's for special cases. So keep it where it was. And if you want to, you can always save a preset for any settings you've created in here. And if you want to see the PDF after you're done, click View PDF after exporting right there. You can see that and click Export. So it allows you to save it out. So by clicking Export, we'll get it out the other side. That's creating a PDF out of InDesign, one of the ways to do that. Now we can, like I said just a little bit ago, go into the File menu. You can save presets for yourself, or if you work with a specific printer or somebody else, let's say in your company, and they know how to make the best PDF for the document you're working on, they can send you a preset. And if you want to, you can click Define, and you can load their preset. It's just a little file that gets sent to you. It's a job options file, and you can load it and send it via email. And you can then choose those settings from the PDF dialog box and never have to worry about it. I'll click Done. So that's InDesign, exporting from InDesign. I'll go over to Photoshop. All these applications, Creative Suite apps, like I said, have the creation method built in. Choosing File from Photoshop, you'll see Save As. It's a little different. We're not exporting, we're Save As. Choosing the correct format or file type, we're going to choose Photoshop PDF somewhere in the list here. There you go. I'll choose the desktop. And as a PDF, it's going to try and preserve layers if it can from Photoshop, which can be important later on. It's going to try and embed profiles. Click Save to save the PDF. It's going to tell me that my settings, what I do next, may override what I just set, which makes sense. Here's the Save Adobe PDF dialog box. Now, this is similar to working with the InDesign one. You can see the presets up top. Clicking Preset. Similar ones we had. High quality print, press quality, smallest file size. Choose what you're doing with the PDF. Look down here, you'll see the options. These are typically different between each Adobe application. Preserve Photoshop editing capabilities means that if you save this as a PDF, you can open it back in Photoshop to do some editing. Layers will be preserved, things like that. It's limited, but you can do certain things. You can embed the thumbnails, which I wouldn't suggest doing. You can optimize for fast web preview, which it does automatically, and you can view it after you're done. Once again, on the left, the categories. Categories are pared down a little bit from InDesign, simply because most of the things you're going to do in here are going to be raster or based around pixels. So you've got compression as a whole, not for all different kinds of images or objects. Your output, once again, color management. We don't go there unless we need to. And we can set security like InDesign, which I won't go to. We can also save presets, just like InDesign. Click Save PDF, and you've got yourself a PDF out the other end. Now over to Illustrator. Illustrator is very similar to Photoshop. Choosing File, Save As. I actually have Gruen logo Illustrator.ai open here. Choosing File, that's not an export, choose Save As. Interesting thing about Illustrator is that an Illustrator file, an AI file, is very closely related to a PDF. Choosing PDF, it will put the PDF extension on there. You can save it out. Clicking Save gives you a similar dialog box, the Save Adobe PDF dialog box. Once again, choosing a preset up top. You're going to see some different ones here, though. We have an Illustrator default. Illustrator default is going to make it so that the layers in Illustrator are preserved within the document. It'll also make it so that you can open the document, the PDF, within Illustrator and edit it in certain cases. Choosing something like press quality. Go through, you'll see that the layers are gone. Optimizing, it's not going to let you view it unless you turn this on. On the left side, you'll see all the categories over here. Click Compression. Once again, all the images you can compress or not. Typically, artwork in Illustrator is vector, which means it's based on points and math. It does let you compress any raster images you have in here, though. So we can place raster images here and compress those. By default, compressed text and line out is turned on. That's a good thing for vector artwork because most of it, if you're just drawing, etc., will be line art. Clicking Marks and Bleeds, we can add printer's marks or bleeds. Output, you can see color management. We have security method here, which is applying security. I skipped over advanced. It's basically fonts, etc., things like that. But you can start to get a feel for how these dialogues are very similar across the Creative Suite. They each have their own little tweaks and fine-tunes simply because depending on the type of information you're working with, vector for Illustrator, raster for Photoshop, or a mixture for InDesign, it's going to have different settings. It's really beneficial to understand how PDFs are created and the fact that you don't need Acrobat to create a PDF out of some of the Creative Suite applications. Once you understand what it's thinking, how it works, where to go to make it, like I said, 95% of the time, it does a really good job of generating the PDF for you for print, for email, whatever you need it to do.